It's about faith to believe. It's about hope to receive. It's about love to give life. It's about transplant life with me, Miss Vinny. Hey everyone, it's Miss Vinny. Our celebration of National Kidney Awareness Month continues as my very special guest, Dawn Kirkowski, shares her incredible kidney transplant story. Over 24 years ago, Dawn became a kidney transplant warrior and everything changed. Because of the power of prayer and the very generous gift of life that she received from 19-year-old Meraida, Dawn received a second chance at life. She was able to marry the man of her dreams, received her master's in social work, and she is now an organ donation advocate, and we are going to talk about it. So please join the conversation Thursday at 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time, live on Facebook. Please tell a friend to follow us at About Transplant Life with Miss Vinny. See you there. Hey everyone, it's Miss Vinny. It's Thursday, and you know Thursday is my absolute favorite day of the week because this is the day I get to talk to you and all of my hero friends about transplant life. And so I'm really, really excited for you to join me tonight. Thank you so much for being here. Tonight, my very special guest is none other than Dawn Kirkowski. And when I tell you, I have literally fallen in love with Dawn. She is such an inspiration. And I'm telling you, you're going to love her just as much as I do after this show because she's absolutely incredible. And she is here. She is a kidney transplant warrior with an incredible story because that's what we do at About Transplant Life. We share incredible stories to educate, empower, and inspire everyone within the transplant community and to encourage everyone to say yes to organ donation because organ donation saves lives. And if you're new to the show, I am Ms. Vinny. I am a heart transplant recipient, and I'm celebrating my 10th heart anniversary. Yes, 10 years ago, I received a life-saving heart transplant, and everything changed, as I always say. And now my sole purpose truly is to raise awareness about the importance of organ donation. And not only that, but to give God glory for all the wonderful things that He has done for us. You know, so many of us have experienced miracles. We have seen prayers manifest, you know, as we have been believing God for years and years to receive a second chance at life, and we got it. And so I just think it's only appropriate that we share our faith with the world and encourage others to let them know that they are not alone, right? You are not alone. And so we are live on Facebook, and you are watching me. And I'm so happy you're watching me on our official About Transplant Life page. And also, I'm live on my personal page for all of my friends who don't want to go nowhere. They want to stay right there. And so I figured it out, y'all. I figured out how to do two things at once with the help of my wonderful son, Tony, who's also watching and who always helps me do everything that I do. And so without any further ado, I want you to meet the wonderful Dawn Kirkowski. 24 and a half years ago, Dawn received a kidney transplant. And she is also a mental health therapist from Hackensack, New Jersey. So here she is. Let's bring Dawn onto the stage. There
Yay!
you are. Hey, Dawn.
Hey. So first, congratulations on your 10 years heart anniversary, which is
Thank
incredible and
you.
beautiful. God bless.
Thank you. You are such a precious soul. I really, really, really appreciate that. And you, 24 years with the same kidney, that's
Yes,
incredible.
and like wow.
Right? Because
Yeah,
I've
I
heard,
can't even believe it sometimes.
I know that means you're taking care of yourself and you're doing what you're supposed to do. to
doing
take care of that very precious
I
gift of life
I
that you
take care of
received.
myself, but I always feel like I could do more. And one of the reasons is my donor family who are out
Yeah,
there, and I do it for me, my family, my health, and I do it for them because they gave me this precious gift and I wouldn't want anything to go wrong with it.
girl, I feel the same way, about my heart. Even though I don't know who my donor family is, I never met them. I think about him every single day, with every heartbeat. I
Yep.
think about him. I know that I received a young man's heart, and he was around 20 years old. That's all I know. And I don't know. It's just so important, and I'm just so grateful, so 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 grateful.
Just to
So thank you
recognize it.
for joining me, and we are going to talk about
My
transplant
pleasure.
life. I'm so excited. We've been preparing for this for a couple of weeks now,
Yeah.
and we've had some really good conversations. So
Oh yeah.
I, I know that our guests are going to be encouraged. We live on Facebook, and we got comments already. Let's see what's going on.
Wow.
Look at here. Who is Jerry Gill? You are a living kidney donor.
Hi Jerry.
Wow. Thank you
Nice.
for joining
Thank you
us,
for being a
Jerry.
hero.
I ex- I just think that living kidney donors are like the most courageous people ever, right?
Right.
And to
So
be
brave.
so compassionate and
Selfless.
so courageous to be willing to help someone else in their time of need is just absolutely incredible to me. And of course, my wonderful son Tony is here. It's
Hello,
time for
nice to meet you, Tony.
that's my wonderful son Tony. I can do nothing without him. I'm telling you, he's just like my
You
number
have a
one support.
lovely mom.
Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you so much. So we also have some mutual friends out there. Jean Syme, she's the one that told you about me, huh?
Yep. And she had a living kidney donor, and it's fabulous. And I met her too, and great people, Pat and Jean.
Mhm, mhm. Okay, so Patricia is Jean's living kidney donor, and they are just like the best of friends, right? I don't know what
Right.
happened to my whatchamacallit. Let's see where it is. My my banner. I like my banner and I can't see it. Boom, there it is. It's black now. I don't know why it's black.
Hmm.
I wanted to make it purple. My favorite color is purple. I think that's your favorite color too. But that's
Yes.
okay. So now I can see the comments better. We should be getting comments. Hey Tony, from
Hello.
from both of my pages, from
Hmm.
About Transplant Life. We're live there, and we're also live on my um, personal page. So let's talk about you, um, Don Kirkowski. So you got Don Ceruto Kirkowski. Did I say it correct?
Yeah. So Ceruto is my original name, and I use Kirkowski on Facebook too to acknowledge my husband
Well, we got to acknowledge your wonderful husband. So
because
let's,
he is the best.
he is the best. Okay. Because it sounds like you put him through quite a bit. And he was right there with you, right?
Yeah.
Support is so important when you're doing your
Absolutely.
transplant journey, right? And let me see.
I
I
met him
really,
after my transplant, but when I got sick at
yeah,
times
here.
with it, he would be like sleep by my bedside and stay at the hospital. It was hard for the nurse to kick him out.
That's love right there. Thank you, Tom. His name is Tom, right?
Yeah.
Thank you, Tom, for being so supportive of Dawn during her transplant journey and beyond, right? He's
Yep.
a very special very special person, and I'm sure he has his own incredible story that he could tell about
Yeah,
being
he's
a
been through
caregiver.
some stuff with me and some of his own stuff, and you know what? That's love together. You have the great times, but if they're your caregiver, I mean, I'm pretty much self-sufficient care-wise, but I mean, he does things for me. He'll pick up my meds, he'll make sure I'm okay. He makes sure I eat, and when I'm in the hospital, he's there. We first dated, and I was sick within a week, and I told him, "You sure you want this?" And he was there, and he was there holding my hand and holding the bedpan at the same time. So you know what? That's love. I knew I wanted to marry
That's
him.
love, man. If he can hold a bedpan, he's a keeper.
He was holding it. I was sick at both ends. He was running to the bathroom with me and holding the other little dish thing. I was like, you know what? He's a keeper.
He is a keeper. So let's talk about that. You received your transplant 24 and a half years ago, but you got sick before then, right? You were diagnosed with this horrible monster. Tell us what it is. I can't
Okay,
pronounce it. I'll let you do it.
and half the world can't anyway. It's focal segmental, like segments of an orange, segmental glomerulosclerosis.
That's a
W-
mouthful.
It
Tell us
is,
what that
and
means.
doctors usually say FSGS. A lot easier to say. So what
Hmm.
that basically means in layman's terms is the kidneys shrivel up like raisins. So I
Oh,
still
wow.
have my native kidneys, and then the glomeruli, which is the cells, they basically just they basically become damaged and little by little. So for some people, it's a slow disease. I was lucky that it was a slower disease. Some people find out way later when they really got things really bad. I found out the diagnosis when mine were 50% function.
How old were you?
Well, I
Like
was
in your early 20s, right?
so I want to go back to symptoms because I had some symptoms when I was 20, 21, 22. Didn't recognize them as symptoms like a lot of younger folks that have it, or even older folks. And I just had high blood pressure. I had some swollen feet. I had tiredness, exhaustion, but I didn't know it was related to the kidneys. I was clueless. I was too young. There was nobody in my family at the time that had it. So I just figured, oh, maybe I'm eating wrong. I'm a college kid. Or maybe I'm just pushing myself too much because I had a long commute. I took two buses and a train. So I thought it was a lot of things other than that. Had no clue. So then
Yeah.
at 20, so 25, I was told I probably will need dialysis and a transplant, and that I had 50% function of each kidney left. Boy, was that a surprise.
Yeah, that's what I
And
wanted to ask you. What was going through your mind when the doctors gave you that diagnosis at such a young age?
yeah, so let me I'll tell you real quick how that happened. I was looking for a job when I graduated my bachelor's degree in communications, and I came home and I couldn't find a job. So I was dating this guy who was going to a camp to because an arts camp because he had a bachelor's in theater, and so we went together. And he said, "Well, there's a job doing some radio TV stuff. You want to go?" I was like, "Hey, yeah, sounds good to me. I can't find a regular full-time job." So my dad said, "Yeah, okay, go ahead." And you had to get a physical before going to the camp. We didn't get all the results back from the physical until 2 weeks after I went to upstate New York to the camp. My dad
Wow.
calls me and he says, "The doctor said you got to come home. They got to talk to you now." And of course, I'm like 22, 23, and I was crying. I was like, "But dad, I never went to a camp. This is the greatest thing in the world. I'm a counselor and working with these kids." And I thought I was like in seventh heaven there. It was beautiful.
Mm,
And it was
mm.
an arts camp. So it was things I liked, and I was having a ball. And no, you got to come home now. And of course, I started crying. And my dad's like, "No, Dawn Marie, you have to come home now. You know, when they use your middle name, you're in trouble."
Yeah, you're in trouble.
So, so of course he said, "Tell the guy I was dating. He left because he didn't like his job and left me there because I liked my job. It was fair." And he said, "You better come and pick you up now and bring you home." So that's just what I did because you listened to your dad at the time. So that's what I did. I came home and that's when they told me, and so I was confused at the time. Like, what is this? What does this mean? Until they sent me to a bunch of doctors, and of course did their stick a needle in my back to diagnose me. Um,
Ooh, stick the needle
yeah,
in the back.
yeah, they try not
Sounds
to do
painful.
that as much anymore to diagnose, but that's what they did back then. I forgot the name of what they call that, but anyway, that's how they figured out what I had,
Like an
and CAT
epidural or
scans.
something like that?
Yeah, something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, uh-huh.
And yeah, boy, that was like a harpoon. Anyway, so came back and they said that's when they told me you got 50% of each. You got 50% function. So this is what I said to them. Want to laugh? I said 50%. I have two kidneys. That means one of them is bad, right? So can't you take out the other one? That
Let's be optimistic about this here.
right?
Okay?
Okay, yeah, I know that's not realistic. But what do you want from a 25-year-old?
Yeah, yeah.
I was a comedian. That's how I dealt with things. I was like, have a sense of humor. He's like, no, that means 50% of each of them is going. See, again, like I said, I had no idea.
Yeah, we don't know these things, and it was your first time, and we're all going through this, through this life not knowing until you experience it. And that's why it's so important for us to share our stories, because now someone who's listening can hear, your symptoms and your challenges, and they can say, "Hey, maybe I should go to the doctor and get this checked out," right?
Yeah, I want to just like give a little warning about symptoms. When I was younger, before that, there was a point where a pediatrician told my parents, "You have a little too much protein in your urine." Now, those of us with kidney disease and in the transplant world know that a little too much protein out of the urine could be an indicator of something bigger like kidney disease. And
Yeah.
nobody knew it back then, so the doctor, the pediatrician, was wrong and said, "Don't worry about it." Years later,
Hmm.
I had the other symptoms. So do worry
Wow.
about it. You hear
That's
protein
right.
in your urine. If your blood pressure is suddenly rising, get yourself checked to see what it is and if it can be controlled. I mean, I went on a good diet and started exercising, which helped me when I was in school. But check yourself. It's a simple
Yeah. Good for
test
you.
to check yourself. You know,
Yep.
your primary care doctor will do it. They can run a simple blood test for your what's called your EFGR. They can check your urine output. Simple tests can save your life
Very good
because
advice.
we don't know until sometimes
Until
the
you
rest of
go
us
and
don't know
find out,
until you
And
go
I
to
always
find
tell
out.
people that.
So
Yeah,
at
I always tell people
26,
that. Yeah, you were
26 was when I started dialysis.
26 years old,
Yeah.
going to dialysis, and that's incredible in itself because you were working, right?
I was working, so I knew something was going to happen. And my dad said, Forget your field of study. Go get a job with insurance." He says, "Because you're going to need it." Oh, well, my
Yeah.
dad was a smart man that way. And so I did. I worked for a moving company that had insurance, even went on a vacation before I started dialysis. I ended up doing peritoneal dialysis. So after I started to heal, I went back to the job. And strangely, because it was a moving company, they set up a room for me to do ambulatory peritoneal, which is using fluids but using an IV pole. So that was done partially on my lunch hour, before work, after work, and at bedtime. So my life was work, dialysis, come home, taking two trains and two buses to get home. It was a fun time.
Mhm. Every single day, right?
Yeah, well, I worked 5 days a week, like the average
Yeah, but
person,
you had to do it on the weekends too, right?
and I did it on the weekends because I did peritoneal. And so that lasted a while, almost 2.5 years. But toward the middle, I had to go on what do they call it, the cycler machine, where you're doing it at bedtime,
Yeah,
and
and
that
you
was a
coming
bit
home.
of a treat. And I had to
But
lift the
I
boxes
want to go
myself.
back to you doing it at work for a minute because you told me something incredible. You said that they set up a room for you at work. And that was unheard of to me. Tell me about that.
So because I worked for a moving company, and they had all these multiple rooms, it was like a warehouse in the back. So what they did is they took a room that had like glass windows around it, and they took moving paper so nobody could see in, and they put up all the moving paper around it, gave me a chair so when I had my lunchtime, I can do my, fill and drainage of my dialysis fluid. So that was pretty cool that they did that, because I said, well,
That
if
was
I'm going to
very
continue
good.
to work here, I need accommodations, and I need you to accommodate my hours and figure out how I can put in, the time during the day for one of my exchanges. So the funny thing is, they had no idea what the word accommodation meant, because some of the bosses were from Israel. So I had to really give them a talking to get what I needed, but I did. So I really feel proud of myself that I advocated with these people that came from another country that didn't understand half of what I was talking about.
Yeah. But that's also what I call the favor of God, you
Yeah, there
know?
was well, yeah, God did me a favor going there in the first place. So, because years later, when I went back there, because I needed insurance, I met my husband. So, like, I don't know. God had a plan I didn't see coming.
So how important was your faith during your transplant journey?
Well, let's put it this way: I did a lot of praying.
Hmm.
Whatever church I could find to go to, I would go to, because the one that I was born into, I didn't live nearby. So, you know, so I thought if I could just pray with other people and, and just enjoy it. The other thing is I prayed for the right kidney. That was another thing is when my
Mm-hmm.
mom couldn't give me a kidney and other family couldn't give me a kidney. I said, well, that means I'm waiting for the right kidney. So I would pray every day, God, could you find me the right kidney soon? Because I didn't feel it was in my plan to decide where I was going to get the kidney from after my family couldn't do it. My mom had kidney disease, ended up with the same one, and other
Mm.
health reasons. My dad, and my brother was the wrong blood type, and they didn't do match exchanges back then. You had to be pretty much family or somebody close by.
Yeah.
So, you know,
I always say that when someone is in need of a life-saving transplant, love rushes in to rescue them. And even though your family, was not compatible for whatever reasons, they were willing, right?
right?
They were willing to help you, and that's just so important. And so we thank God for them. But lo
Yeah.
and behold, you did get a donor, and so tell us about this beautiful young lady.
Well, her name is Meraida, and I found out a little more about her about 5 years post transplant, when her sister Yvette had written me a letter. That was the first letter that I ever got from the family. But I kept writing thank you letters. There were suggestions for other people on transplant sites not to continue to keep on writing if you didn't hear from them. But I somehow knew in my heart, and that's where faith came in. I somehow
Mm,
knew in my heart and would have conversations about God and about meeting them or knowing who they were. And it's like I kind of had the feeling in my heart, maybe it was God saying to me, you know what, look, it somehow keep writing them, just keep writing them. So I would send them different letters saying when I got married, when I graduated, and this and that. So I find
mm.
out that a couple of things about her.
Okay,
I
so
don't,
how did you send them? I don't mean to interrupt you because some
sure.
people don't know how to send their thank you letters to
Right. Well,
their
that's a
donors.
great question. You
Yeah, how did you
usually
do that?
send them through the hospitals or the OPO, Organ Procurement Agency, through a social worker. It usually takes some time before they get it because they can actually scan over the letters to make sure that what you send is appropriate, especially
Mm,
upon like the first or second or third letter,
mhm.
because they want to make sure it's not too revealing. You can only write your first name and the transplant
Right,
that you got, and they
right.
don't let you write too much. You can request to see them or meet with them, but again, response is completely up to your donor family. And it's understandable. I should tell people out there that it's understandable that sometimes the donor families feel kind of strange reaching out back to you. Sometimes they're in such grief that it takes them a while to reach
Yeah.
out to you. I mean, I didn't hear from them for 5 years, but she was 19 when she died, and one of her sisters was the same exact age as me. So I could imagine how hard that must have been to be able to reach out to me and why it took a while. Plus, Spanish is their first language, and I don't speak Spanish, so they had to find a way to do it in a good way. So just be patient. Anybody who's writing letters, be patient. Sometimes you will hear from them, sometimes you don't. I consider it my second blessing after transplant because not everybody will, but it's okay. It's really okay. You just got to be, just thankful every day, recognizing that they're a human being. And
Absolutely. And they're going through a painful time in their life, like you said. And
yeah,
so we thank God for Meraida's family and for her generous gift of life for saying yes to organ donation at such a young age, even, right? That's so
that's what's
important.
hard. You hear about kids and young persons, and it's like, oh God, thank you to the family. Thank you to the mom, Lizzie. And shout out if anybody's watching from your family. God bless you.
God bless you indeed. So on September the 6th, 2009, you were 29 years old when you received Meraida's kidney. What
Right.
was that like for you and your family?
Well, for me, all I could feel like I was touched by an angel, and not to be, uh, I don't know, not to be cliched, but that's what I thought when I woke up and they told me. I just like it was a miracle to me. I know it was medicine,
Mhm.
but I still believe it was a miracle.
It was a miracle, absolutely. You know, God is the creator of life,
Fading out,
and
Miss Vinny. What
certainly
happened?
He was totally and completely involved in your transplant journey. Absolutely. He answers prayer, and I'm a firm believer in miracles. And you are a miracle, Don. Truly, you are.
Hmm.
So you got this amazing second chance at life, and everything changed. So then, who's this guy right here? That's your honey, huh? That's your wedding picture.
Hmm.
It made you emotional, huh? Did that make you emotional? Oh, you're so blessed. You okay?
Hmm.
Are you okay? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
I don't know. Did you see the video?
Yes.
You did. That's your honey
Yes,
Tom.
thank you.
Did you see that?
Yep, I saw it.
So,
Thank you.
so when did you guys get married?
Well, we got married in 2000. It'll be 17 years. Actually, it'll be 18 years. Next month. So 421, April 21st. It'll be 18 years ago, and we've
But
been
you met
together 20.
him before you got your transplant?
No, so he
Oh,
he
okay.
he came afterward. So you were asking me about, how it was for me and my family. Let's just say
Yeah,
they don't, since it wasn't COVID, they were letting some like two or three visitors in the room at the time. But let's
that's
just
what I
say
think.
my family knew the back entrance to the hospital, and in the beginning they had a party. Let's just say my family and and a couple of friends, maybe five of them at a time, but I had balloons and cards and before I even got out of the hospital. But when I first
Wow.
woke up from the transplant, Dad, I don't know if you're watching or you're going to watch the replay here, but I got to tell Miss Vinny that when I first woke up at a transplant, my dad kissed my head and he said, "You did good." And then I passed back out because of the pain pills.
Oh, wow.
But that's what I remember is my dad doing that. And I remember both of my parents downstairs worried about me. Now my parents were long divorced at that time, and my dad
Mhm.
was remarried. And I just remember both of my parents there for the first time in years because they were worried about me. And I feel like that was incredibly special that both of my parents were down there pacing the floor worried about me, and all they could do is think of Dawn getting through surgery. And like I thanked them for that, as well as my grandfather and my aunt and anybody else who showed up. And so I think that was really 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 special because it was for me they were there, you know and it was great.
Yeah. Mhm.
So my family, they were really an integral part. And caregivers, a lot of credit to them. Caregivers to families who watch you go through this, because
Yeah.
that is a really really tough thing.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Yeah. It's a special gift to be a caregiver, to care for someone who can't care for themselves. And a lot of caregivers, they put their own needs and their own wants and desires in the background so that they can care for their loved ones. And so I always encourage, caregivers to make sure that they care for themselves as well. And we
Absolutely.
talked about we talked about the importance of self-care because um this is you also after you got married, you became a mental health therapist.
Yeah, yes. With me is, I got to say, my grandfather, who passed away at 100 years old, in 2021. So that's a special picture too. But the fact that my grandfather got to see me get my master's degree and was there for me when I was transplanted, that's my mom's dad, was also pretty darn special.
That
The
is
love
pretty
for those
darn
people,
special.
the love I have for my family as well. So I could just imagine how much Marita's family loved her because they really love me. And let me mention with self care for both us because it's important. because everything we go through affects our self-esteem, and it is important to treat ourselves, you know, well, no matter what we have to do, even if it's a little thing like painting our nails or get somebody to help us do that, or maybe, if we're able to wear a nice shirt or robe or pajamas if we can't get into the clothes yet, get a nice pair of cozy pajamas or a robe. It's all right.
Mhm.
Or when
Mhm.
we feel better, get that haircut or have somebody come to the hospital just to cut our hair. But
I
for the
did that.
kid,
Remember I told you I did that? I
yeah.
did all of those things.
Hey, I
I had
mean,
a
you
spa
got
going
us.
on in my hospital room. Let me tell you something. I was in ICU for almost 7 months. And when I tell you my room was the sweetest smelling room in the hospital, okay? On 4 ICU South at Keck USC. Because I had all of my family and friends bringing me all kinds of lotions and ointments and
No, it's
sprays.
good. Whatever works, you know?
Hmm.
Absolutely. I mean, I love skincare now, lotions, even if it's a $5 thing. Something my mom taught me too when she was in like the hospital and stuff. I would bring her like a $5 thing of lotion that smelled like lavender, and my mom would be all over it. She didn't care if it was from Macy's or the dollar store, she'd be all over it. So, she taught me appreciate the small things. Sometimes you got to.
Yes.
And but as
Especially
far
if
as
you're in the
caregivers,
hospital.
go ahead.
Especially if you're in the hospital. It's so
Oh yeah.
important.
Even the
Yeah.
little things like bathing. For a while, you were telling me you can't bathe, and
It took
just
me 90 days, Dawn, to get a shower. 90 days.
yeah,
And I was not alone. I had two nurses with me and my IV pole,
Mhm.
right? I wish I had a
You had a
picture of that.
party in the bathroom there.
I had a party in the shower, okay?
God,
And I did wash up in the sink. I would put towels on the floor in my
right,
room,
right.
and
hmm
I would do my little spa bath out of the little sink on the side. Hmm.
hmm
Yeah, I made it
So
work.
dialysis is similar, even though you're not in the hospital. Some people don't know is the struggle with bathing for dialysis patients, because if you have a chest catheter for hemodialysis, you can't really sit in the bathtub. And if you
Oh,
have a
I didn't
catheter for
know that.
peritoneal, you're not supposed to really soak in the bathtub with the catheter for the peritoneal that's in your stomach as well, because you don't want to risk the infection you
An
could get
infection.
if you've got any dirty water. So you also can't wash your hair in the shower with the chest catheter. So there's a couple things you can't do with these things. It doesn't mean you can't wash. They would say wash your hair in the sink. But, it had its struggles. People don't realize, oh, it looks good, you just go to a center. Oh, you just do that. But that's a private thing for us, is that washing is very hard. When you first get transplanted, they tell you don't take a shower for X number of times or with any
Yep.
surgery. And and if you're anything like us, you don't want to smell bad.
Mm-mm.
No.
Phone
So,
phone.
right? Right. No, me neither. I'm one of people too. Yeah, me too. Like, no way. Like, that's where all the lotions and creams came from, like I can't. I mean, and you also have skin problems from all the medications.
That
So
too. Oh my goodness, Don, you hitting on all the bullet points because my skin got super dry post transplant.
yeah, mine was weird.
Super
It was
dry.
like super dry, itchy, because they give you these high doses of medication. So these are things people don't know about transplant, that
Yeah.
okay, they look at me and go, "Oh, you look good. Oh, you've had it so long. Oh, you must be better." Or, "Oh, that kidney must be sticking to you forever."
But you
Well,
put in work to look like that. Every day is a challenge, even
every day
post
to get out of
transplant.
bed.
That's
To get
right.
out of bed.
My surgeon, Dr. Mark Barr, he told me, he said, Miss Vinny, you're going to have to crank yourself up every morning. And I
Mhm.
literally feel like that, like for real, that I have to
I
crank
believe
myself
you.
up each and every day. But once I'm up, I'm ready to go.
Yeah. Well, speaking of faith, this is what I do sometimes. Honestly, it might be when I get to work, and it might be once I'm up. Okay, God, let's go. Thank you for another day. Thanks for reminding me why I am up, going to work or doing whatever it is I'm doing. Thank you for the reminder this is forever. Thank you for the reminder that I got to get my ass out of bed,
Yeah.
because if I do that, I suddenly feel better if I remember why I'm here. If I remember that a bad day at work, if I remember that, like, because I am not a morning person, I wasn't before my transplant, and I am still not, but I go to work and I'm like, okay, God, you know what? I help people. I do good things. I need to get up to do those good things. And I got to do this for myself and for my family. This is my give back. So,
Right.
I have to. So I remind myself things, but it's sort of like in a little prayer. Speaking of faith, I do that every day, practically.
Amen.
Okay,
We
you know,
have to because we have a relationship with God. It's not about religion. It's about relationship, and it's just so important. We
it's
can
yeah,
we can talk to God through prayer each and every day, anytime we need to. It is our direct connection to our heavenly Father, our Creator, and it works. We are living witnesses, right?
yeah, right. So you don't have to make it any fancy prayer. I tell people, you want to pray, pray. Don't just talk. Don't. You know what? He's listening anyway. Some people don't have fancy words.
He's
Like
listening
there are people
anyway.
that, how they speak,
He
they don't
is.
have fancy words. They don't need
Yeah.
fancy words to talk to God. uh, you
Right.
know
Right.
have people that say to me in therapy, hey, Miss Dawn, can I just say, hey God, and talk to God? I said, is that in your heart to do? They go, yeah, that's what I need to do because I don't know any fancy prayers. I'm like, you don't need your church and your fancy words. You just
Nope.
talk. That's okay. I said, 'cause you know what, you'll be
Exactly.
listened to. Don't worry. Don't you worry about that. I said,
That's
you have a faith, right? They're like, yeah. Oh, like, okay, then that's fine. you
that's
know
right.
that's
That's
fine,
exactly
doesn't
right.
matter.
So
Because
tell me about your career as a mental health therapist. What do you do?
Okay, so my job is as a crisis mental health worker in a 30-day crisis program. It's what they call urgent care for mental health. We help some
Mm,
people as much as possible stay out of the hospital when they have severe mental health symptoms. I treat people with anything from schizophrenia to bipolar disorder, severe depression, anxiety, and other multitudes of problems. If people can't find a therapist, we're a good interim program where they can hook up with us for the 30 days therapy and medication if they need it. I can refer them to our nurse practitioners for medications if they feel that if together we make the decision, which I love those words, if together we make the decision that that's the
yeah,
right thing for
yeah.
them. With any of your doctors, the decision should always be made together. You're never
Do you
just a patient.
do you ever counsel any transplant patients or recipients? Because whew, mental health is a huge part of our journey, right?
Well, I've counseled people waiting or that come into the office, or people that have a disease but don't know yet, or like they're kind of on the verge of it. I've had, because we're a general agency, but I do more of that like online. That's not really my per se career, but I just do it online because that's free.
Yeah, yeah.
That I
And
do
we
more
have
for free because that's a dedication for me. That's something in my heart, is to help people. So I tell people, PM me, or or come on such and such group, or talk to me, or sometimes I'll even find somebody, friends of mine come to me and go, oh, I got a friend who's going on dialysis. Good, give him my phone number. So yeah, I do it, but I do that for free. That's a heart thing. I don't know, it's a precious gift that I'm capable of doing. Or if they need a therapist, I'll help them find one in their state or their city, because I may not be the one, but I can help them, listen to them, and help them to find some resources. So I do
and
that,
that's
but in a different
yeah,
way.
that's why we put please message Don Kirkowski on Facebook if you need mental health therapy information, right?
Yeah, so I do that. I'll give out information and resources. Sometimes in groups, I don't always provide therapy because I'm looking for the support myself. Because even the caregivers, seriously,
I'm sure
even
you
the
do, right?
caregivers, I have to
That's
say
self
that
care.
because even the caregiver, even the person who seems real good, can have days that are not real good.
That's right. That's
That's
right. That's
important.
absolutely right. And that's a
Any of
part of
us.
self care.
Yeah, any of us. And the caregivers, because caregivers like to pretend, not because they want to, but because they're trying to be strong for the person that they love. And I've encountered that a lot. I treat a lot of caregivers for different reasons, and they try to be oh so strong, but it's not that they're not strong, but they want to cry and they don't. And this
Yeah.
is what I say to caregivers: even if you're not feeling like you could cry in front of the person you're taking care of, that's all right. But
You
give
better,
yourself a chance to
yeah.
cry, to
You
let
better
it
get in
out,
your secret place. Get
you
in your
know?
secret place and cast all of your cares upon the Lord. And because we're not created to carry all of that stuff,
That's
to
heavy.
carry worry and fear and all of those things, they don't belong to us. And so that's why the scripture says to cast all of your cares upon the Lord, because He cares for you. And I'm telling you, I used to drag my IV pole into that when I was in the hospital in ICU, waiting for my heart. I would drag the IV pole into the bathroom, and of course my nurse was watching me because I was under 24-hour supervision. But I would go in the bathroom and I would just let it all out. I would cry,
Got
I
it.
would scream, I would talk to the Lord. And then I would end up reading Psalms out loud, because the Psalms are really, really medicine and they are life. All scripture is, but I find such peace when I read the Psalms out loud, right?
Hmm.
And the Lord blesses my soul. I'm telling you. And that's the only way I made it through my transplant journey. We are live on Facebook. What's going
Yay.
on out there? Tony says that's true. You know that's true, right?
Yeah,
That's the
and
absolute truth.
I said, people, whatever is going to work the best for you, you do
Yeah.
it and you get it out. And there are people that I say, hey, look, if you need to go in your car and sing and belt it out and pretend like you are an America's First Talent, just because singing for some people gets emotion out. I mean, I like to sing. I'm not in a chorus. I'll sing when I'm cleaning, or I'll sing when I'm cooking, or things like that. Sometimes for some of us, and some of it is singing and praise, and some of us is other songs, but that's sometimes helpful.
Yeah. All the
Whatever,
time.
whatever it is.
All the
Yeah.
time. So tell
You
me
know.
about this.
Well, this is important to me because it is something that helped me get through times with COVID, and we all know that was a big struggle. Everything I did
Mhm.
for work was online. My mom was really sick, and so this kept me from being lonely. This was called Howl's Heroes. Thanks to my friends Brenda Cortez, who writes about Hal the Owl and in transplant
All the
stories.
owl.
How the
Brenda
Hal, we
was
love
on our
How the Owl.
show a couple of years ago. She was on our show.
Well, Brenda
Angie.
rocks,
Yeah, Brenda does
and
it.
she's written many books about Hal the Owl and his transplant stories. He has a heart transplant and a liver transplant. And so basically, they created something called Hal's Heroes, which was during COVID to honor people who did things in the community where they said they worked with love. And Brenda found me online and hooked me up with Gene Syme. And they gave me this little honorary award of being a Hal's Hero because they said what you're doing is so important always, but especially during COVID. So I ended up with like these little guys.
Oh, there he
And,
is. Thank
and,
you, Brenda Cortez, for all that
yeah.
you do. She
And,
is so
oh, she's wonderful. Jean is wonderful. Jean's become a good friend since she's in New Jersey too, not far from me. And I'm gonna be in one of Brenda's books. Brenda is doing the third installment of Because of Organ Donation and asked me to mention, so I'll have my own chapter in there telling my story, sharing some more pictures of Meraida and other things in my life. And so I'm looking forward to that. So anybody interested, please let me know. Brenda's hoping to get it out there during Donate Life Month in April. So very much looking forward to that and reading about the other transplant stories. So
very, very
that's
good.
a but that was integral to my getting through COVID. Just the fact that they did that and having that little cuddly guy to use online to talk about organ donation and really got me started in talking about organ donation. It gave me a little confidence as sort of like a runoff to start talking about organ donation online. So 2020, we couldn't do anything else, so there was a lot of video. So I said, "Oh, okay. I'm gonna try to volunteer to be on people's shows." There was a lot of shows with people like my friend
Mhm.
Bella, and and
Bella Langston was my guest last week. We had a
I
great
was a
time with
guest years ago on her show, and Steve Belcher and Jonathan Trailer, some friends of mine out there that have transplants that I always wish the best. Talked to, became friends with Terry Palawa. So shout out to any of those people and anybody else that I missed
Terry
because
was in the Rose Parade with me. I know Terry Palawa, the
yeah.
double lung
So,
transplant
you know,
queen.
I love my transplant friends out there because you know what? Nothing can beat talking to people who feel a little bit like you, who understand. And
Yeah.
really my friend Caroline Hill, who has a liver, and the group that she runs is fabulous on Monday nights. A lot of ladies with livers and a few with lungs and kidneys, and shout out to all of them and Jamie Inhofe. Like, I love these people. I really love these people. They're in my heart. And, my greatest fear is because we all have transplants, losing one of the people that I love that are going through this. Because to me, I call life precarious, is my word
Hmm.
for it. We're all walking on a line because we know
Hmm.
it's not a cure. People
Well, you
don't
know what?
realize it's not a cure,
I choose not to entertain fear at all
but I
because
don't think about it. I just
no, I
realize
don't
that,
even entertain fear at all. I'm not worried about it. I just take it one day at a
you
time,
know what? I'm
and
honest
I
with
use
myself
my
about
faith.
it, but I don't
Yeah.
worry about it. But I don't worry
No.
about it.
Nope.
My
We
doctor
don't
said,
use
live your life and don't
that.
worry. So,
Nope.
but I just, I pray not to lose them. I pray that they're fine. That's where I turn it.
Yep. And just leave it
That's
in
all.
the Lord's hands. That's what we
You
do.
know why? Because it may not be transplant that somebody's gone from, because it's not when it's your time is your time. I don't worry about that,
Nope. Nope.
because you
Nope.
can't control that. What you can do is take care of yourself. What you can do is enjoy the time you have. What you can do is enjoy the people that you love. That's what you
Yeah.
can do. And
Yeah.
that's how I stay positive is, you could only do what you could only do. And there's going to be things out of your control. And the best thing to do is try to just take a deep breath. This is mental health for you. And just enjoy what you can, whether you're a patient waiting, a patient with a transplant, or a caregiver. Try to enjoy the moment. Worrying about it all takes away from those fabulous moments that you could have, even the littlest ones. Even enjoying the flowers in spring, or or a good cup of tea, or
Yeah.
anything. You don't want to take
Yeah.
away from the moment. Don't do that to yourself.
And
That's
that
where you
leads me to my very last question. What are you grateful for?
Well, besides my transplant, the people that I love, the experience I had, and just meeting wonderful people. And I'm grateful for the transplant experience. I'm actually grateful for the experience of going through this disease and my transplant, because if it wasn't for that, it's now become a gift of God, and a gift from God rather than a curse. Because if I didn't, I don't think I would be the person who I am today, doing exactly what I do. And I've always had graciousness, but I think that it expanded the great graciousness in my heart.
Mhm.
You either have it or you don't. I've always had it. I've always helped people, but it expanded everything I had. So I think I am grateful for my journey. Sounds weird to say you're grateful for your illness, but it's not that. I am grateful for this journey, the wonderful people, and
Yeah.
the things that I have learned, because if I didn't, I wouldn't be able to share them with all of you, with you, Miss
That is
Vinny.
absolutely right.
And so that's what I do. I have things that go with the transplant. Like today, I helped somebody whose family member had diabetes, because I have diabetes, but I was able to mention some things that she could use to really help her husband and help herself, and mental health for her to help getting through being a caregiver. So I'm pretty proud of that fact that I can use any of the things you might call, quote, bad things to help other people. I mean, I have vision loss and hearing loss and things like that, but I'm on support groups, and I do my best to learn so that I could educate others with resources. And that's something I'm pretty proud of, and pretty grateful for too.
Well, amen to that. And we are just so proud of you, Dawn. You are an incredible woman, and I am so honored to have met you, to be able to share your story and the way that you encourage others. You know, your light is so bright, and I want you to continue to share that love with all the people that God puts in your path, and to continue to raise awareness about the importance of organ, eye, and tissue donation,
Right.
because
So
you are special.
thank you, and as are you. And hey, you know what? Sign up to be an organ donor, put it on your license, and most importantly, talk to your family about it so they know your wishes. Even if you don't write it somewhere, talk to your family. Let them know that you want to be an organ donor. Let them know that you want to be one to save lives. And talk to them and let them know that organ donation can do incredible things like they do for me and Miss Vinny here and so many other people out there. Let them know that this not only saves lives, but improves lives in one of the greatest ways. So yeah, sign up today. You got nothing to lose, and God knows that you don't need your organs in heaven.
That's a good one. Can I borrow that
Sure. It ain't it the truth though?
one? It is the truth. It's the absolute truth. I
Whatever
always
your faith is, you don't need them up there wherever you're going. You
wherever
don't
you're
need them
going.
anymore. So leave them down here because you'll save a whole bunch of us.
I always tell people that organ donation is the new normal. It's the way that your life doesn't end, but it begins again in someone else. And what better legacy to leave in the earth than to leave an organ for someone else? Amen. We're live on Facebook, and
And thank you, donor families of both of us and everyone for giving that chance to say to save lives and do what you do for us. And at the same time, I'm sorry for your losses, but thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Amen.
amen. And with that, thank you, Dawn, for being a part of About Transplant Life. I want to have you back. You are such a wealth of information, and this was an incredible show. And so I know that you will continue to do more and more things. That's right. We talked about meeting each other at the Transplant Games next year, right? In
Oh yeah, I
2020.
hope so.
Yeah, so I'm really, really looking forward to that. I'm gonna have to start, doing my stretches and stuff because I have a feeling you are competition.
Well, I got to do that too. Gotta get in shape. Had a couple shots on my back, but I'm feeling better. So time to get some exercise in this summer.
Yeah, good for you. Thank you, Don. Don't
You're
go away.
welcome.
Wasn't that an awesome interview, you guys? I am so grateful to have the opportunity to share the story of Don Kirkowski with you. She's an amazing woman. And I just want to encourage each and every one of you, no matter what you're going through, know that, it's all going to work out for you good, right? To be encouraged. And with that, I have a few messages that I would like for you to watch. Thank you for watching About Transplant Life with me, Miss Vinny, live on Facebook. Have a great evening. Don't go away. I got something to show you. All right? Peace. Please watch About Transplant Live TV every Saturday at 8:30 a.m. and 8:30 p.m. through Pasadena Media's channel on Spectrum Cable TV channel 32, AT&T Uverse cable channel 99, or you can watch it live stream at pasadenamedia.org. Thanks for watching. Hey everyone, it's Miss Vinny. Please visit our merch store at abouttransplantlife.com. We've got some really cool items for sale, and support our efforts to raise awareness of the importance of organ, eye, and tissue donation by sharing incredible stories. So please visit our website today. That's abouttransplantlife.com.
Say yes. For more information on how you can become a registered organ donor, please visit abouttransplantlife.com.